Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the TRL Virtual Footy Show for this week. We've got a late pullout in Kevin Campion, but we're going to have a great show. Let's go around desk and my lifelong friend and co-commentator, former State of Origin player, Terry Cook. How are you, Cookie?
Good evening to all our viewers out there, and good evening, Kelvin, and good evening, Wally. Great to be back on the TRL Virtual Footy Show.
And, of course, we've got also my lifelong friend and co-commentator, Kelvin Hawke. How you going, Kelvin?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Obee. G'day, fellas. How you doing?
Yeah,
and
good,
over
mate.
to the legend himself,
Well,
former Australian and former State of Origin legend, and I feel like he's my lifelong friend, is the one and the great Wally Fullerton-Smith. How are you, Gator?
Very well, thank you. And say good to everyone else, and good evening to our listening audience.
Well, first to you, Wally, we're going to talk about taxation waivers, and Bryce Cartwright and Brian Kelly are given till tomorrow on whether they're going to do it. And Bryce Cartwright's on 600,000. He's just got to sign the waiver, Wally. What would you do?
Well, I think it's a funny sort of thing to do. I mean, he's having a flu injection, and he's decided he's not going to go ahead with that for some particular reason. And from my understanding, there's a few of the boys have put more stuff in their body than flu vaccinations, it seems, and it's not, it's sort of put a bit of tightness that two of their good players aren't going to play because of these sort of ideas. But, I think, the anti-vaxxers or however they are, they've got to understand their point of view. But at the end of the day, it's a footy game. It's a team game. They've got to be mixing with the other 16 players, and everyone's got to conform the correct way. Otherwise, the government will just put a shutdown on the whole show. Now, don't forget, we've got Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria, haven't we? So they've all got different views, those premiers. So, particularly you don't want one or two players to muck it up for everyone.
Yeah, it's my take, Cookie, that the waivers are just the waivers because they're just signing a waiver that they understand if they're not taking it. Is that right? Is that how you see it?
I think a waiver is just where they go, yes, we're not going to take it, but it gives the league they're not liable for it if they do end up with the virus. But the law is, as Gator just said, every state's different, and the law is in New South Wales and Queensland is you got to have this flu vaccination, otherwise you can't play, and it's simple as that. And if you don't take it, well, they don't play, and they're only a number, and the league will move forward and say, bad luck, mate, you're not in our show anymore, just about, wouldn't you say, Gator?
Yes, that's exactly right, and that everyone's sort of grasping on the bit, really trying to get out there and do something. And I think it'd be a bit unfair if two of the people within the team environment, get it cancelled for that whole club, for some particular reason, So, I don't think it's a big thing to ask a flu vaccination. Now, I know different points of view nowadays, but really, at the end of the day, it's a team environment. You're out there, you're scrummaging, you're tackling, and all the rest of it, and it's pretty vital that you're not going to catch anything or whatever. So, to me, it's pretty adamant. You're all in or all out.
And Kelvin Hawke, Brad Fittler said, well, look, when the payday comes up, which is in a couple of weeks' time, Bryce Cartwright is on 600 grand. I mean, his security is at risk by having a thing against these injections.
I believe, my opinion is just get the injection. I think from a health point of view too, it would be beneficial. I did hear on the news this morning where the health authorities are worried that if people contract the COVID virus as well as the flu virus, it could be have a dire effect. So, gee, it's only a little jab. I can't see the harm in it, but as Wally said, we need the whole lot pulling together. We don't want a couple spoiling for the whole group. I think everyone's looking forward to football in a couple of weeks' time, and I think if a couple of guys didn't make that football happen, I think they'd cop a little bit.
And Cookie, I suppose the underlying thing is that they can't be bigger than the law. And if I was a teammate, I believe there's a couple at Canberra, I'd be pretty dirty on them, would you?
Well, as it's a team environment, and it's like Gator said, it's one in, all in, and I believe that you're letting your teammates down, but it's the compliance that the state that they need to get it done. So if they don't comply by that, they won't be allowed to play, full stop, in the state. So they're only crueling themselves. And most rugby league teams at NRL these days have such a squad, you're only a number. So they'll just say, oh, mate, you'll just have to sit on the sidelines this year. And what that does is give another player an opportunity to get in there and rip in. And, who knows? Bryce Cartwright, I think, skating on thin ice as it is. I don't think his season last year really, what would you say, validated his wages bill. And I think he needs to have a big year to consolidate that. And I think by not taking the flu jab is jeopardising his future in the game, I suppose.
Yeah, well, Cookie's got a point there with Bryce Cartwright. And after all, Wally, Titans did get the wooden spoon last year.
Yeah, look, and I thought Cookie hit it on the head there. It's not like Bryce played out of his skin. I think he's skating on thin ice to keep a contract. Not that that should be the reason that he has his vaccine, but really at the end of the day, it's checked by the medical people. It's approved by the medical people, and it's a team environment, so everyone's got to sign into whatever's been told from the state government. So to me, it's pretty clean cut.
Have also said, Gator, that if change of subject is that contracts that people like Ash Taylor are on are going to be a thing of the past. It's not going to be our $1 million players anymore. I think there'll be and rightly so, an overdue correction in those salaries, Gator.
Oh, there's no doubt. The times that we're in it currently, that things will be reviewed, and particularly the expensive player payment. We've all sort of played. We don't want to sort of knock it down. We'll get played, but now those huge sort of bonuses or whatever it might be that's been set up in the past, it's just not sustainable at this current time. And, I think we'll be playing a game of footy without a crowd. So things are going to be tight in revenue for the NRL. So, yes, I think things are going to come down pretty levelling for a few people that are just on those fringes. And maybe it's just like the halfbacks or some of the best, the echelons of the top, 5 or 10% of the squads will be getting that, what they're due to them, and the rest of them, I think, will be sort of just trundling along behind.
Yeah, well, I suppose, I know there's an estimate that the salary cap's going to go from 9.5 million down to about 8. Well, in the scheme of things, and you've got 30 contracted players, that's not much of a difference. I think that needs to go down even further. Your thoughts, Kelvin?
Oh, I don't know. It depends, I guess, on the contract. I haven't heard much in the last couple of days, but the headlines were on Sunday that the deal that Fox and Channel 9 are putting together, it could be bigger than ever before. But yeah, they do. Obviously, they've left to go down, but to what extent, I don't know. But as I said, what the deal that they're talking about could be bigger than it was before.
Cookie?
I think the players' salaries certainly were overinflated. That's for sure. The last couple of years, and I think the gap between what would you say, the top level and state league, and then you go down to bush is just totally ridiculous. And I understand the corporate world, as in television rights and all that, but and the I just don't think it is sustainable for the future. And I think it's been probably a good thing in one way, where it's sort of brought the game back into the real society that we live in today. So I think the players, it will be a wake-up call for them, and they'll understand that they'll have to take pay cuts, and in the future, those... one interesting thing, Obee, I'll say on the matter is a bloke like Daly Cherry Evans, does he still get, you know how he signed that 10-year contract probably how long ago, 5 or 6 years ago? Will they honour those contracts down the track, or are all contracts off the table?
Well, at Gator, it'd be the same as Tumalumu in Cowboys. You know, I think when they're in place, that's okay. But what happens with the salary cap? Do they get adjusted that you're aware of, Gator?
Well, I think what will happen is that those contracts will stay as is, and more importantly will be the levelling out of the field, and people, when the new players get up and get recontracted, etc., everything be pulled in accordingly. You couldn't cancel the players' contracts in particularly those two players I've mentioned, and Dale Cherry Evans and Tomalolo. So that's what he signed for. Obviously a longer contract than many others, but that's just how it is. And I think, and as then the new players or the current players, as their contracts end, then they'll be reviewed accordingly. I think it'll be done on a sliding scale.
Yeah, well, certainly the Players Association will have some say in that. But let's go on to a different subject, Gator. Single refs. There's 25 full-time refs in the NRL, and it's growing momentum. We'll probably go back to single refs. So I'm a fan of single refs myself. Gator?
Well, for instance, the international games are done by a single referee, and I know it's going to be a bit of a change for the NRL players. Whether the coaches are, they're always trying to come up with sort of a different like a review on things to get an edge. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's I think Peter V'landys got on him, and it's one out of the left field. But for the moment, I thought it was funny that it was sort of brought forward because they reckon it's a cost savings, but it's going to save them $3 million a year. So that's a fair cost saving for straight up. But I just think, well, let's try it. For the next for this season, it's a time to try those sorts of things, and let's see how we go from there. It's going to be a lot of work done for with that pocket referee and all the rest of it that picks up a few other things, and but it's well worth a try, I think.
I suppose, Kelvin Hawke, with the bunker and the two referees, and they can stop at any moment, their job's been done for them a lot. So your favourite subject's the refs, isn't it, Kelvin?
It certainly is. But what I believe that if they get rid of the two refs and they go back to the one referee, I think the linesmen have got to step up a bit. At the moment, what do the linesmen do? They wander out there and get paid. I think if we get rid of those things, save $6 million in Wally deal, because they don't
right. Look, look, when we played, if they saw an offence or whatever, they'd be running in with their flags up, with those stiff legs that they have, but at the end of the day, now if they can become involved with it, just other than run up and down the sideline, waving at the crowd, they should be involved, So they've got to take that little extra work off that pocket referee that was there for them, that'll sort of change things up.
The way they are at the moment, the bunker can pick up if you go on the touch. What are they there for? The bunker can see if you kick the goal over the post. So, no, I'm not really advocating that we should get rid of the touch judges, but I do believe they've got to pick up the act.
Cookie, we probably should give the sidelines. How about this idea? How about instead of having 2 referees, we'll give each of the touchies a whistle?
No, Obee, I think that'd be losing control again. But I think the one referee is a great idea because it takes confusion out of the 2 referees because they don't know who, there's too much confusion in it with the 2 referees, and it gives authority back to that one man who should be making the decisions, whether it's right or wrong. He's got the bunker to support him. So I'm a big believer in the one referees. As Gator said, internationals are played with one referee. All international games like the World Challenge Cups and all that, they're all the Super League, they're all one referee. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Have I lost yous again? No?
Yeah, you got me. That we're getting so robotic. And one thing that AFL do well is the uncertainty of the contest, and we've seemed to have lost that a bit because we're really fine-tuning the actual decision, but we need to have that controversy talk at the morning tea on the Monday, don't we, Wally?
Well, that's a part of the game, isn't it, really? That's what we like. That's what the game of rugby league throws up, all those sort of unknown ideas and people's or unknown things that occur, and people have got an opinion. So that's what the intrigue of rugby league is. Plus we like to see those wonderful sort of athletes and defensive things and how the teams different work. That's what's so good about rugby league. That's my point of view. I'm dying to see a decent game of rugby league.
Anyway, on to.
Thank Christ the races were on.
Kelvin would be. Kelvin, he'd need some some counselling, I think, if the races weren't on. That's for sure. But Gator, on to the next subject is the Intrust Cup and the players there. What's the talk out Redcliffe way? It's looking more and more like a southeast corner contest. Maybe the Foley Shield starting up north because the plane flare costs are there. There's not the money coming down through QRL. What's the talk at Redcliffe land?
Well, that's pretty interesting because it might be giving some of those country areas, the Foley Shield or the Western Division in Queensland, a way to start up their own little competition. Look, so the way I'm hearing it is that they might have just a competition with just the Brisbane clubs, maybe Redcliffe, Wynnum, that sort of, they'll just around the city for costs. And where I thought that the QRL put a badger on it and said, right, there'll be nothing played until 2021. So it's good to hear that they could be thinking of something. But it all comes down to to May 28th, doesn't it, really? And after getting out of what we started the show on, or the people and their vaccinations, when we're trying to get the show on the road, it's that's put a bit of a cobwash on things, and but that's the intrigue of rugby league, I suppose.
A big point on our show the last few weeks, Wally, has been the effect on grassroots, and I suppose it's not going to be too bad out our way, but with those Intrust Cup players going back to the Brisbane Rugby League competition, there's a bit of an imbalance there. What's the talk down there in Brisbane land?
Yeah, well, currently, for instance, have a look at the Dolphins. They've got to train on their own. There's been no sort of set team training, as far as I know, yet. So they'll have to start all that, if you know what I mean, straight from to get things going. If there is going to be a little comp there, but yeah, I reckon they're sort of like 2 months away down the track there from the NRL starting things up. But I'd imagine everyone's doing their own training regime, but there's been no team training that I'm aware of.
Yeah, first to you, Cookie, and then Kelvin. Like every week, a little bit different. From those clubs. Have you had a thought about how it's going to affect? But as Joe Hennett said, Cookie, we'll just have to worry about that when it comes to that point, eh?
Yeah, pretty well. I think as long as we get a bit of local rugby so people can get out of their houses and get back to a community, and it's very important for a community to have their sport. And out here on the Downs, rugby league is probably the number one sport, and it'll be good to see at least some form of competition where the local people can go along and support their team and get back to some local community. And I think that's what everyone's been lacking in the last probably couple of months.
And Kelvin, your talk on the Intrust Cup players coming back?
Oh, well, I've really thought about it a lot, but at one stage, I didn't hear about this competition in Brisbane. At one stage, I heard there was talk that these players were going to come back and could play for clubs in Toowoomba, but or in our competition, if we got up and running, which would be good for the competition, but where does it leave the guys that would have been there to play the season proper? I think I heard an interview with Matty Drew where he wouldn't consider using any of that. He reckoned he had his squad, and that's the way he'd stick with it. So if they can get a competition in Brisbane, well and good. From our own point of view, if we can get one, I really love football, but I realistically, the way the government and the way the things are at the moment, and the way they've got their three stages, I really find it hard to see how we can play football this year. I really do. I've said that from the start, and I'll stick with it. Unless the rules
after the break, we're going to talk everything about the TRL and Stage 3 coming through, Cookie. But, Cookie, we got plenty of sponsors to thank, haven't we?
We certainly have, Obee. We've always got our great sponsors, Hutchison Builders, who've been around with us for a long, long time. They've been involved in rugby league in Queensland for a long, long time. Toowoomba Kia, who are fantastic supporters of our local competition. Clive Berghofer Land Sales. He's been a fabulous supporter of the Toowoomba Rugby League and the Clydesdales and rugby league in general. Pittsworth Goodyear Tyre and Mechanical, Sutto out there at Pittsworth, Stevie Reynolds, S&K Drilling, Bottle Mart, our blast from the past. Gator, you'd be a big chance for that this year. C&R Concreting, Nutsy and Jocko, Better Electrical and Home Living Wilsonton. So get along and support all those sponsors of ours. Even though there's no rugby league, go out there and support our great sponsors that help our grassroots rugby league here on the Downs.
Yes, and we're certainly getting a lot of views here for PTV Channel O. And if you'd like to partner up with PTV Channel O, which is a great exposure for yourself, then certainly contact the station. But I think we'll go to a commercial break and come back to the second half of the show where we've got to talk everything about Toowoomba Rugby League. We've got a have you been paying attention for these three scallywags here? So hopefully they've been watching the papers and everything through the week. And we're going to go to the break by looking at part of that interview that I did through the week with Warwick coach Matt Grew. This is the Toowoomba Rugby League Footy Show. Connecting. Well, hello, Matthew Grew. Welcome to our interview. We're in a period that we've never been before. How's it going out at Warwick?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Obe. Thanks for having me. We're battling away along out here, all right?
Okay, and look, with this virus, been asking a lot of the guys. I know there's job keepers and seekers and so forth. Has there been any players that have been affected and had to have moved away, and they may not be able to play for you should a season eventuate the season?
I'm not too sure with that, I don't think so. To my knowledge, at this stage, it hasn't been. I know a few of the boys have been affected with work, and hours might have come back a little bit, but at this stage, I haven't heard that anyone's that has had to move away because of it.
And have you been talking to the players since the beginning of the season?
Yeah, we've stayed in contact with the players. I've tried to give most of them a call every now and then to see how they're getting along and keeping up their fitness. But we've got the group chat that's been going since November last year with all the current senior players for the Cowboys. So everyone sort of keeps up to date with what's going on, and there's a bit of banter on there every now and then. So it's good.
All your players, including yourself, Grew, absolute scallywags, mate. And I know you can read them like a book, mate. Is any of them training better than you think they are because they're on their own?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few of them actually that are training a bit harder than what they would be, say, down at training in the group situation. Without any of the other player distractions, they just knuckle in and get their work done. But from what I've been hearing and talking to the boys, a lot of them have been training pretty hard. I mean, most of our equipment out of our gym hasn't gone missing, but their boys come looking for it and they took it out to their homes and have been working away from the club.
Yeah, and I see Valleys have been doing some over the internet raffles and so forth. Have your club been using those initiatives?
Yeah, look, we haven't really been using those sort of initiatives, and we've seen that, and it's really good. I mean, clubs have got to somehow keep some money generating to keep them going. And at the Cowboys, we've actually got a big cash raffle that's run at the moment. We're starting to sell tickets only just this last week, and it'll run into November this year, hopefully. So, yeah, if anyone out there is looking for a ticket, $100 a ticket at the Cowboys, you get a chance to win $25,000 cash.
All right, mate. Well, let us know, and we'll share it on the Toowoomba Rugby League Facebook site, because I noticed with the Valleys ones, a lot of people from non-Valleys clubs have been buying them because they all love footy and they just want to be involved. Now, secondly, mate, I suggest a lot of your players and so forth have started becoming regular punters, but I suggest they've got a bit of money in their pocket now, mate, and have been introduced to their wives, mate. Have you heard any stories from your players?
Yeah. So a few of the boys, a few of the wives are enjoying having the extra time with their husbands and partners at home. And I know here at my place, I got roped into a lot of jobs that have been on the back ball for the last sort of 3 years. So yeah, we've done a fair bit of work at our place here over the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
it's a blessing in disguise for young families like yours. How old's your young one now?
Addison's, she's nearly 2, actually. She's 2 on the 6th of June. So, yeah, she's just that age where she's into everything, a lot of back chat, that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's a pretty entertaining around here at the moment.
Well, you'd be pretty skilled with the back chat, mate, being a A-grade coach at the moment, eh?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I know how to handle her. She's the least of my worries.
Yeah. All right, and we'll talk again during the season, Matthew. I really appreciate you coming on, and thanks very much.
No worries, Obe. Thank you.
Crazy Kevin on the radio. Power FM. PowerFMradio.com.au
Every week on PTV Channel O, we take a frank look at computers, the internet and social media on Switched On IT. Join our international team of experts every Tuesday at 7 p.m. to learn what makes the internet and social media tick and how to keep your business safe online while making the most of this exciting media. Discover a whole new world of entertainment Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on ptvchannelo.com or download the PTV Channel O app.
Looking for exposure for your next event or function? Take your next community event, training seminar, sports event, official opening, function, concert or exhibition live to the world with PTV Channel O and Power FM's unique live simulcast. We can turn your next local event into a worldwide sensation for a fraction of what you would expect to pay. No matter what the event, PTV Channel O and Power FM can take your message to our audience. Invite the world to your party by phoning 0431 390 920 or email feedback@ptvchannelo.com.
Back to the Rugby League Virtual Footy Show. How's your dog going there, Wally?
Yeah, it got pretty good. I just whacked a couple of tablets down her throat. She's on some medication. It's actually my daughter's dog, but it it got run over a couple of weeks ago, so we thought we had the dislocated hip and everything. It's a beautiful dog for the kids and for the grandkids. But so we're just leaving her here because there's no stairs to go up and down all the time. So she's good company. So she'll be nice and quiet here.
Yeah, so I was texting Campo and Gator whether they're going to be right today, and we got this phone photo back of this dog, and so yes, she's doing well with the broken hip and everything, and me and Campo didn't know. We had a bit of fun with that. Woof, woof, good on you, mate, and then talking about dog, but remiss of me, Power FM Radio 88 on your dial in Toowoomba City or online as well. What's the online address, Cookie? You remember that?
www.powerfmradio.com.au, Obee. How's that?
You are an absolute legend. So let's get into the Toowoomba Rugby League and the grassroots for where we're going to be. And Kelvin, you started there on the 11th of July is when the community sports are allowed to restart, but ouch, only 100 people gathering, which means inside or outside. Obviously, the 6th of June has gone out the window. Kelvin, your thoughts?
Yeah, as I said, I'm hoping we get some football, but realistically, the way the government rules are at the moment and the way we've got to be at the moment, I really, you take 100 people, 4 grades, there's your 100 people, so you haven't got spectators. It'll be not feasible to, I don't think, to play your under 18 game and then get rid of them and bring in C grade or second division and then bring in your reserve grade and hunt them home. So I realistically, unless things change, as much as I'd like to see football, I really don't know if it'll happen.
I say, Terry Cook, that now it's been brought back to the 11th of July, and this is something we haven't been brought up, Cookie, is that a grand final is won from November right through to September, and we really can't have a premier this year, you would think, especially now that I know what's been thrown around, that we've got 2 conferences, etc. It's just, what's your thoughts?
Well, as Kelvin said, it really is down to our Premier who seems to be running the show on our side of the state, and it really comes down to what the rules will be. And as Kelvin said, if we don't have spectators from the 11th of July or mid-July, we probably could still get away with it going into October, but anything after July, I can't see it happening because I think, A, the players have work commitments, and B, it gets too late in the season and too late in the year, basically, and other sports take over. Cricket starts up, and the next thing, players can't make 2 commitments, and I just don't think it'll happen. But if we can get it up and running by mid-July, I think we might be a chance.
Gator?
Yeah, well, I sort of agree with what Cookie said there. You know, so once you get past that October period, you're running into the opposition sports. You know, you've got your cricket, netball, all that sort of things coming into things. So then they take precedence with the regional stations. I know they do down here in Brisbane. You know, I'm sure Channel 9 would be concerned about getting cricket a run. So that's the thing. And people have got their lives changed. You know, they've got work commitments and all that. It's a tricky. It's actually a very tricky time, and we're sort of like the coronavirus, and we're all in neutral, you know, wondering what's, you know, treading water, what's going to go ahead. And that's why it's so important that come May 28th, that we get it, everything is right, we get footy back on again, and that's going to be that precursor to how all the other sports are going to follow through, is my understanding. So that it's very important those first couple of weeks with the NRL and how things eventuate, and then the other sports are going to follow suit.
I suppose Kelvin Hawke Jr. is going to be a little bit different, where they'll have a revolving crowd, 100 people there. Under 7s, you go and then leave. Under 8s, you go and then leave, and so forth. Whereas we could probably do that with seniors, but yeah. Then look, I really think we're going to be restricted, and we're going to have some barriers even next season as well, Kelvin.
I haven't thought that far ahead, Obie, but yeah, with juniors, I think you could probably be a possibility with juniors. You maybe play some carnivals with juniors, have a couple of little, have the little ones, and then the minis, the mods, and then the ordinary football. Break them up and do it that way. Might be a way that the juniors could work. I think it's got more chance of working than the seniors, really.
Cookie, did you agree with me as far as, two-part question as far as, should we call them premiers? Or let's have the Obee and Cookie Cup, and we're going to have the 2 conferences going from there.
Well, we could have a New South Wales champion, Bush champion, and a Queensland Bush champion, and they play off for the Obee and Cookie Cup.
But I think the field, especially with the clubs, and they did have a delegates meeting on Monday. They do want to get the player to the team playing there, but they really, I spoke to Rex, and I'll speak to Rex on Friday, and I'll put his interview up as well. And then there's nothing much that they could do and make any decisions, but the feel is they do want to get on the field, but not at the expense of not having crowds, Kelvin.
That's it, yeah. I don't think any club in Toowoomba could play without crowds. Well, I certainly know from Gatton's point of view that they definitely couldn't. That's where you make the money, and I think most clubs would do the same. In fact, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident to say that all clubs in Toowoomba wouldn't be able to sustain a competition or sustain playing. It would break them if they didn't have crowds. So that's the main thing, and I think to Gatton, they also gave out and spoke about it before, but if we push back and go into cricket, I don't know how many clubs in Toowoomba have cricket played on the ground, but for Carl Park and Gatton, as you guys know, come October, we won't be able to use the ground there because cricket will start, and it's right bang in the middle of the 2 footy fields, so that'll put an end to any games in Gatton in October.
And Gator, I noticed Glenn, the CEO of QRL, was online yesterday, and he was trying to bring it back to the leagues as far as them making a decision. And that made me think, well, if Toowoomba don't start and Gladstone start and the ACBAC will, are you going to see some clubs like down in Brisbane that allow Redcliffe, well, we're not going to play in the BRL this year?
Well, I think it's going to be on a stage-based scenario. Now, the NRL's leading the race to get things on by May 28th, and as that evolves, other teams, if the QRL wants, North Queensland or Western Queensland or whatever it might be to be involved, then they would have a plan in place to do that. I think the importance here is that everyone's waiting to see what the NRL does, and then the other teams are going to follow suit. So there's no doubt that there's going to be some sort of varying things now with coronavirus and how we separate ourselves and all the rest of it. And as Kelvin said, playing with no crowd, so there's no revenue that they're bringing in for country rugby league. So I think it's, to me, we're seeing how things are going to evolve over those first 2, 3, 4 weeks. And I think from then we'll have a better idea on how other sports are going to become involved, particularly the rugby league people from the country, how they're going to be involved. So I think that's critical, those first 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm sure Peter Volandi's a very good operator. We'll have that all mapped out, and then everyone else will come in from behind and follow suit. So it's hard to predict.
But surely, Terry Cook, a few days ago, it was 2 months from the 11th of July. And if we go 2 months with no viruses whatsoever, you would think that not far from that 11th, we would really go up to the 500-person barrier then. So all's not lost. And in the end, you agree that we should have some type of footy between now and the end of, say, October, Cookie.
Yeah, Obee, you hit the nail right on the head. It'll depend on whether there's another outbreak. If there's another outbreak, there'll be no football. But if there's not an outbreak and it's contained the way it has been contained and it's just in little clusters, I think we're a big chance of going to that 500 level or the 1,000 level where it's more just open, the game will begin. But it depends on the actual virus itself. If we have another relapse and there's outbreaks everywhere, it'll all shut down again. And that's what the government's saying. So as Gator said, the NRL will be our prototype. And if it's successful and there's no outbreaks throughout all the states and it's still under control, we might be, as the stages go ahead, we might be a chance of getting some sort of football in anyway. Let's hope.
Yeah, so Kelvin, in the end, TRL are working with the clubs. They'll value their opinion, but do you think the overall feel is going to be, well, let's play some footy? What's your thoughts, Kelvin, that TRL, all the clubs are going to do, even though we're 2 months away from really having a crack?
I think all clubs would like to, and I think the TRL, obviously, and all clubs would like to, and I think all fans are in the local would like to. And as I said before, I certainly hope it does happen, and I think it'll depend on, as I said, the government and our Premier and what she decides, and the medical people decide whether we can go to those extra people, those additional people. I think if they do, it's got to go across the board. And, if you're looking at 500 people, well, then you're getting up to something where you can really get a crowd to the gate and get some money out of spectators. I'm sure, as we said a couple of weeks ago, that people would pour through the gates to come and see football. They'll be starved of everything now for quite a few months. So I tell you, it'll be pretty popular if we can get it going.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to get into have you been paying attention, and we need some buzzers. And I've been doing my homework a little bit here now. Wally, seeing you've been nursing young Sophie there, your buzzer is woof woof. Okay, and Cookie sitting Jondaryan, Cookie sitting at the Jondi out there in the woolshed. You are a sheep, mate. Give us a sheep.
Bah, bah.
Did I hear that, Wolf, from you, Gator?
Woof, woof. So there we go. Woof, woof.
Hey, mate, is your missus going to come running, mate, is she?
It sounds like a poodle.
It does make a poodle. Now, of course, you're a life member of Gatton Hawks there, Kelvin. Give us your biggest hawk, mate, of course.
My hawk what?
Your hawk now. Rightio. Okay, now. All right, 10 points for correct answer. Now, it's have you been paying attention? You can be as funny as the guys on the show. You don't have to give the correct answer. You give just a funny answer, and I'll just keep going around from there, okay? So, there might be 2 parts, and we'll go from there. And the winner wins a trip for 2 around the world, okay? Queensland Treasurer Jackie Trade stepped down and because they're investigating her for influence of what? Yes, Cookie.
For interfering with the selection of a school principal.
Very good. 10 points to you. Rugby union, right? The CEO resigned after 2 weeks. 2-part question, or maybe 3 days it was. The name and the reason why. Yes, Cookie.
Clark. I know his last name's Clark.
Yeah, give you 10 for that.
But I got no idea why he resigned. I know what it'd be. I know what it'd be. Raylene Castle never left him any smoko in the boardroom.
Well, there you go. I heard it was that the board wanted him to have the same look as Raylene. He said, go. No, the real reason was that he couldn't have his own CEO, so he resigned, or his staff, or something like that. Okay, so 20 points to Cookie. Kelvin and Gator yet to get off the mark. Okay. Now, he resigned today. Who else announced their retirement this week? Yes, Cookie.
Michael Jordan?
No, that was about 20 years ago, you idiot. Okay.
I was close.
Yes, and yes, in the media he is. He. Yes, Kelvin.
Rugby union, Alan Jones.
That's right. Well done. 10 points. So you're still there with us, Gator. Give us another wolf. Yes, you idiot. Okay. Now, this weekend, 10 people allowed at cafes and so forth. Okay. How many are allowed out back? Out back Queensland. Yes, Kelvin.
You know, it all depends where you want to be. In the pub, you can have 20, I think. Are you one of the selected ones out that other way?
Yes.
You have to put your name there, did you?
Very, very good, mate. And you have been paying attention. No matter your other 2 turkeys. Anyway, let's go to you, Wally. Okay? This is a question just for you, Wally, okay? Now, what festival at Redcliffe was cancelled in 2020?
The woof woof the kite show, was it?
The kite show. Okay, I'll give you 10 points for that. But if you can give me the exact name of it, I'll give you another 10 points.
What's the name of that?
It's the Festival of
Kites.
Kites. Is that what you're going to call it?
I think so.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. It's a festival of sales, you idiot. Okay, now over to you.
Sales. God.
Yes, exactly.
Sophie, you
right.
gave me the wrong number. The mom gave me the wrong answer.
Good to see you're really involved with your local community there, Wally. Now, Kelvin, Gatton Show's been called off, mate. Okay, but this week, the Lockyer Valley Regional Council, right? They announced a cancellation of 2 event-festivals 10 points for each. It was in today's paper.
I read it this morning and I've forgotten it already. Was it something in Laidley, the Heritage Festival?
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that.
The other one was the business. Was it the business awards? Or?
That's very good. Okay, now over to you, Cookie. Toowoomba Regional Council announced some of its COVID-19 relief packages recently. What did they get up at Jondaryan area?
I think we got relief on our rates. A rebate on our rates, I think. And
I'll give
nothing.
5 points for that. Okay, and
Oh, geez, you're generous. And nothing.
the answer I'm looking for, no. They got a big package for the Jondaryan wool shed, you idiot.
Oh, did they? That's closed.
Yes! You've got to get out more, mate. Yeah, so there we go. So the score is 25 to Cookie, 40 to Kelvin, and Gator. Good to see you're all on top of your communities. Okay. Melbourne Storm were told, now this is all in, you can buzz in. Melbourne were told they can train fully at Amy Park this week. They changed their venue in Albury-Wodonga from a rugby league field to an AFL field. Why?
Bah.
Yes, was that you, Kelvin?
Yeah, the council booted them off the council ground.
Yes, that's right. I'll give you 5 points for that. It's not the answer I'm looking for. Open to you other two guys.
No.
Nothing.
No. Well, the answer is that when they went there, they went to Albury, which was in New South Wales, and the council said, no, you've got to go to Wodonga, which is in Victoria. Okay. Okay. Now, what is the cricket legend Shane Warne contemplating doing? Have you been paying attention? Yes, Cookie?
Doing a porno.
No, wait for that one. Gator? Come on, Gator, answer something.
Yeah, I listen to all the current affairs too. I can't believe it. Shane Warne, well, there's a blank there. Nothing. He was in the last dance.
Kelvin?
So that's it.
Making a comeback.
He's doing something with his son.
No, he's not. He's doing a reality show of himself for about a year, and he's going to put it on Foxtel, and he's going to be filmed for a year. He's contemplating doing it, okay? And I don't know, would you do something like that, Gator?
Well, that'd be very interesting for me on camera for 12 months. Yes, no, I probably wouldn't do that. That'd be pretty tough, I reckon.
I've got to ask the other guys. You, Cookie, you do it in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Oh, Jondaryan comes alive.
And Kelvin, we may as well put the camera when you do it in the TAB.
Yeah, that's it. That's one thing that might come back, they reckon, in the second phase.
All right, have you been paying attention? Okay, a Friends TV show regular died this week. What was his name and who's his famous son? Yes, mate.
Stiller, his name was Ben Stiller's father.
Well, I'll give you 10 points for Stella, and the other question was 10 points for his famous son. Okay, for another 10 points. What character did he play in Friends?
What character did he play? George Costanza's father. George Costanza's father.
Yes, that's very good. I'll give you that, even though he didn't give a wolf, but you can give a wolf now to confirm that answer there, Ollie. And mate, Sophie hasn't tried to answer there. Anyway, we've got a couple of questions left. Kelvin 45. Cookie, you started so well on 25. And Gator, you are coming with a run. You're on 40, okay? Now, the PM got a phone call today, and they talked bushfire, this week, sorry, Corona and horse racing. Who was the phone call from?
Woof, woof.
Yes, Gator.
Alan Jones. Alan
No,
Jones.
it wasn't. No. Kelvin.
The Queen.
That's right. Well done. Good to see you paying attention there.
Happy Queen.
Now, what famous... Okay, there's one for you, Kelvin, not just on your own, but you guys have got to be listening to this, who's paying attention. 2 questions to go. What famous horse trainer is returning for training after a 4-year absence?
Woof, woof.
Ah.
Woof, woof.
Yes, Wally.
No, what's his name?
Who?
Peter Moody.
Peter Moody, that's right, mate. Okay. Last
The horse
question.
had a win first up.
Oh, good on him. What was it
First
called,
horse
mate?
back had a win.
What was it called?
3-year-old, wasn't it?
Shepherd.
Hey? Good
Shepherd
on you,
was the
mate.
name
You're
of
an
the horse.
absolute legend. Okay. And the last question. Getting neck and neck. What is the date that community sports can start?
Bah.
Yes, Cookie.
Woof, woof.
11th of July.
Very, very good. But our winner is Kelvin by 5. That's well done. I hope you enjoyed that. Well Kelvin, last topics, mate. What do you want to talk about?
I'll give you a tip for Friday. Magic Ink.
Magic Ink's returning, is it? That's right. You own it.
Returning Friday.
That's good. Well done.
One topic to talk about. I just hope that the guys see fit to get their jabs, and we have a peaceful start the NRL in a couple of weeks' time. So hopefully they'll all decide to get their jab, and away we go.
And Cookie, 2-part question. What topic do you want to talk about now before I come back to you later on with the final say?
I'm just living the dream out here at Jondaryan. At the hotel, we're just about Friday, I think we can start having 10 in our dining room, so that'll be fantastic. Bit of movement at the station. Can't wait.
And Cookie, you can give table service and that, can you? They can, but you've got to take it over to the table.
We're doing that tomorrow, actually. Jane and I are sitting down and going through the Office of Gaming and Liquor regulators. We're going through the system, and we'll have a bit of a plan, and we'll have some sort of system in place. I'm not sure what it's all about yet, Obee. So that's my goal tomorrow. And
Gator, any other topics you want to talk about?
Well, not really. I've been under pressure. I've been doing a leadership and management course. I'm trying to work and study and all the rest of it. That's about it. But what I'd like to ask Cookie and Jane is that you're only allowed 10 people in your bar, for food, and is it no alcohol provided? It's no food only? Wouldn't it?
No, they can drink.
Oh, okay, they can drink. Wouldn't you think that they should, it's nearly not worth opening up with just having 10 people there, was it really? You think you'd maybe make it 30, make it worthwhile.
Well,
and, you could put 3 or 4 staff on and away you go.
You're right there, Gator. Jane and I, we were discussing it yesterday, and it's a bit discriminative because what happens is, let's say we've got 8 in the hotel and then 5 people come along, and because we're 40 Ks either way, virtually in all directions, if they've travelled and pull up and want a meal, and I have to turn them away because there's 5 and it takes us beyond the limit. So it's a tricky one, that is for sure.
Yeah.
Is there a rule, Cookie, that they can only stay 2 hours? Or there was word that one started doing. You heard about that?
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure on that, Kelvin. As I said, Jane and I are going to sit down and go through the Office of Gaming and Liquor, their protocols and their plan, as they say, and we'll have to have a bit of a plan that we have on a computer or a hard copy or something, and then if anyone comes along, we'll sit down tomorrow and have a look at it, and next week I'll be able to tell you more on the topic.
Yeah, well,
sorry.
You're right.
No, go on, Gator.
Well, Morrison, depending how things go in that first week, they might suddenly open up those floodgates a bit more, Coggy, you know. So, you know, and to cover that, that's a very good question you said about someone pulling up on the highway wanting to come and have something to eat. And we'd have to cull someone out of the bar there to fit them in, or everyone never thought about that. But, you know, to have that a little bit more people, say after the first week, you know, he might double that to 20, and so on and so on. It's a bit of an unknown. I don't know.
Well, we're getting a little bit in depth there, but I like Kelvin's idea that I hope they bring in 2 hours at Cookie's Pub, because I've gone there for 2 hours and left 3 days later, Cookie.
Well, that's the idea of it, Obee.
That's right. Good idea.
All right. Thanks very much, Kelvin. Thanks very much, Gator. For the last day, over to you, Cookie.
Yeah, good night, everyone. Look after your friends and family. And rugby league football, the greatest game of all.
Yeah.
Go!
See you, everyone.
Hey, well done, boys.